All right, so this is Superior Industries International's most recently filed 8K, filed as of today, August 5th, 2020. And they are reporting their second quarter results for 2020, and 2020 was ugly. So here are the main bullet points. Safe and efficient restart of production activities across the manufacturing footprint. Unit shipments of 2.1 million. Net sales of 145 million. Adjusted EBITDA loss of 4 million. Net loss of 43 million. $7 million of restructuring and net other expense. 40 million of permanent and temporary cost actions for 2020 and aggressively managed cash, costs, working capital, and CapEx. Net debt of $596 million, available liquidity of $245 million, and ongoing compliance with covenants. So those of you that don't know, Superior Industries International has been around for a very long time. They are an auto parts maker right here, one of the world's leading light vehicle aluminum wheel suppliers for OEMs and the European aftermarket. They've been around for a long time. They were a stalwart of conservative portfolios. Mario Gabelli has been invested with them for a very long time, well over 30 odd years. And about a couple years ago, I want to say 2017, they purchased Uniwheels over in Germany. This was a very conservative pick for most portfolios, of slow but steady management, competent leadership, a solid pick for any stock picker out there. And they bought out Uniwheels, and they did so with preferred share issuances yielding 9%, which was utterly ridiculous. Why would you take out 9% preferred shares when you could borrow for much cheaper rates than this? It was a terrible way to fund an acquisition that may have been synergistic, that may have been great. Uniwheels got them a European footprint. And they bought them out when Germany, where Uniwheels is located, or was located, or is located, depending on whatever, had potential synergistic capabilities, and bought them out potentially cheaply when Germany was in a manufacturing recession. And then they bought it out with preferred issuances yielding 9%. So clearly this is nightmarishly bad, and they are dealing with the aftermath at the worst possible time, which is why you're seeing net debt of 596 million, but only global sales for the second quarter of 2020 at 2,068,000. This is nightmarish. They got rid of the CEO and the team that went with the Uniwheels acquisition. They got rid of them immediately and replaced them with the new president, Majdi Abulaban, the president and CEO of Superior Industries. And he has to lead them through not only the financial stupidity that was buying a company out with 9% preferred share yields, but also through COVID. So not only do they have to service this debt, they got to manage through a once-in-a-century nightmare. Now, the business update here on page 2 of their most recently filed 8K, I'll leave the link up in the description box. While they are experiencing stronger demand compared to April and May from their customers in North America, specifically for pickups and SUVs, especially as well as in Europe, they're still trying to keep costs as low as possible. They're really trying to get all the meat off the bone that they possibly can to make sure that the company is as lean as possible and make sure that they're in compliance with all their covenants. They pursued a deferral of merit increases, comp and benefit reductions, permanent cost savings, including furloughs, reduce travel, personnel restructurings, and use of government subsidies where available. These cost initiatives are expected to benefit 2020 results by approximately 40 million. I imagine that some of these are one-time costs. Most of the negative impact on revenue occurred in April and May. Their superior value-added sales rebounded from April and May, declining 14% compared to June of last year. And free cash flow, and they define this here as the sum of operating, investing, and financing activities before net debt repayments, was positive. This is a weird definition. I claim no expertise on such things, but the way that I've always been taught to think of free cash flow was OCF minus CapEx, or EBIT multiplied by 1 minus the corporate tax rate. and then adding back all the sundry things, so on and so forth. I hopefully don't need to explain some of this, but I've never heard a company defining free cash flow as the sum of operating, investing, and financing activities before net debt repayments. So keep an eye out on this. Wheel unit shipments 2.1 million, decrease of 58% compared to unit shipments of 4.9 million in the prior year period. Net sales were 145 million compared to net sales of 353 million. The decrease in the quarter was driven by lower volumes, lower aluminum prices, and partially offset by the shift towards larger wheels with more premium content. Value-added sales, non-GAAP, net sales minus the value of aluminum and services provided by outsourced service providers that are included in net sales, well, that's complicated, were 84 million for the second quarter of 2020 compared to 194 million in the prior year period. The shift to larger diameter wheels with more premium content partially offset lower volume. All right. SGA tanked. Good. The result of furloughs, comp and benefit reductions, reduced travel and personnel restructurings. Reported an operating loss of 34 million this quarter, excuse me. The income tax benefit for this quarter was 4 million on a pre-tax loss of 47 million. Adjusted EBITDA was 4 million for the second quarter of 2020. This compares to a profit of 49 million for the second quarter of last year. The decrease was driven by lower volumes and production shutdowns related to COVID. This has been a nightmarish scenario for so many companies that were on the brink already and are being pushed off of the needle tip. Operating cash flow declined due to lower profit. Working capital this time around was a use of cash rather than a source of cash compared to a source of cash in the prior year period. This is on page 4 of their most recently filed 8K. During the second quarter of 2020, this is what I want to know. They repaid 101 million on their revolving credit facility. They also paid preferred dividends of 3 million, purchased $1 million of shares from minority equity holders of Superior Industries Europe during the quarter, leaving $2 million worth of shares outstanding. They remain in full compliance with all their lending covenants based on various forecast scenarios. They don't currently anticipate any issues meeting the covenant requirements under its facilities. After repaying 101 million on their revolving credit facility, they were less than 35% drawn on the facility, therefore not required to test the net leverage covenant at 4.5 times. If the company had been required to test the covenant at the end of the second quarter, it would have been in compliance. Further, after the second quarter, they made net repayments on the revolving credit facilities for U.S. and European, or for their U.S. and European arms, totaling $69 million. Total liquidity, including cash and available amounts under the facilities, was $245 million, with $131 million in cash on hand. $596 million total funded debt, which compares to $658 million in the prior period. The increase in funded debt was due to the borrowings on the company's revolving credit facilities. This is getting pretty ugly for this company. I think they're going to pull it out. I think they're going to work it out, but it's going to get ugly before then. Just running through their consolidated balance sheets, dollars and millions. Adjusted EBITDA tanked, which they included the impairment of goodwill and intangibles for this. Okay, that's weird. Of course, depreciation, amortization, acquisition, integration, hiring, separation, restructuring costs, factoring fees. They threw everything in there that they possibly could to make this look better, which adjusted EBITDA can let you get away with some of that, of course. That's why you shouldn't look at it as the only thing. And if an investment's being sold to you on an adjusted EBITDA basis, then it's not good. Although I do find it interesting that they're defining free cash flow as the sum of operating, investing, and financing activities before net debt repayments. This sounds like they're calculating free cash flow as just enterprise value in a really botched way. But they have to do what they need to do to try to make this company look as good as possible, because right now it is a bit ugly. They even break out their calculation here for earnings per share. If you notice this, I've never seen a numerator line or a denominator line actually delineated in these in a financial statements before like this. So it's rather intriguing. I do see the company getting out of this, but in a very, very skin of my teeth kind of way. I'm wishing the best for Mr. Abulaban to get this company out of there and handle the preferred share payments to the best of his ability. Thank you for listening.